2024 Rolls-Royce Spectre First Drive. To improve on perfection, electrify it. The Rolls-Royce of EVs comes with all the drama, serenity, and sheer comfort you'd expect from Rolls and then some. When Rolls-Royce handed us the keys to its new all-electric $422,750 Spectre Coupe and subsequently insisted we compare its silent operation to that of its $354,750 Ghost sedan, it was a bit like elbowing Travis Kelce out of the way for a date with Taylor Swift, only to be asked whether you'd prefer Sydney Sweeney. For gender balance, feel free to insert Ryan Reynolds or Patrick Dempsey here. Either way, picking nits with the Ghost, a standard-bearing luxury sedan powered by the Mark's Whisper Quiet, Swiss Watch Smooth V12 engine, as a way of highlighting the Spectre's engine-free benefits feels deliciously deviant. Is this some kind of undiscovered kink, or a casual Tuesday for the people who can afford to choose between either Rolls-Royce? Whether an electric Rolls-Royce is a better Rolls-Royce isn't as obvious as a throwaway Swiftie reference in the era's era. In almost every case, replacing an engine with electric motors, even excited synchronous ones like the Spectre uses, nets an automatic forward leap and refinement. Rolls-Royce has spent its entire century-long existence locked in an existential battle with physics to snuff out any off-putting vehicular machinations from the consciousness of its customers. If you were to drive any other mere mortal car back-to-back with an internal combustion roller like the Ghost, you'd think it was among the most extraordinarily quiet, refined, and isolated vehicles money can buy, the others being, well, other Rolls-Royces. Yet money can now buy you the Spectre, Rolls-Royce's first-ever electric car and the rare vehicle capable of betraying the Ghost, which is powered by a zillion tiny explosions managed by 8 forward gears and whose progress is arrested by calipers squeezing spinning metal rotors. The two-door Spectre Coupe is quiet and smooth enough that, where you do not look out its windows while underway, you might not realize it's even moving. As is the case with its gas-swilling siblings, the Spectre is tuned to waft elegantly down the road thanks in part to its Ghost-derived planar suspension that can decouple the anti-roll bars for a smoother ride, even on its massive optional 23-inch wheels, and reconnect them when turns are detected. Clever accelerator tuning dulls the immediate torque of the electric motors until the pedal is more firmly depressed and the car is well underway, the better to keep the heads of its well-coiffed occupants from undue rustling during takeoff. Perhaps the Spectre's best feature is its sheer mass. At just over 3 tons, it feels incredibly solid. Torsional rigidity is claimed to be 30% stiffer than that of the Ghost, and the sense of the thick body and acoustic glass holding outside noise at arm's length is palpable. The ultra-low 0.25 coefficient of drag helps it cut through the air, too. You into feeling like a baby kangaroo in its mother's pouch, simply aim the Spectre's long hood toward more interesting ribbons of pavement. There, despite its limousine-shaming ride quality and mammoth footprint, the BMW 7 Series-sized coupe comes alive in ways the Ghost can't quite match. Responses from the front and rear electric motors and front and rear steering setups toe a fine line between immediacy and refinement. You're keenly aware of the 584 horsepower and 664 pounds-to-foot of torque from the front and rear motors, the athletic capabilities of that magic suspension, though never overwhelmed by them. Fold in the light steering effort, and the Spectre serves up the sensation of unruffled swiftness. There's an ease to which the Rolls gets moving quickly. Again, this perks up once the car is underway, and the disconnect between the utter silence of it all and the blurring of the scenery outside the windows is nearly unsettling. Rolls-Royce says the Spectre can sidle up to 60 miles per hour in 4.4 seconds, and it feels every bit that quick. Should you require some background vocals for this performance, urgent-sounding noises that play in sync with the speed of the motors can be turned on and off. Next to the near-silent operation in the little button at the end of the Spectre's column-mounted shift wand labeled B, not much about the cabin hints at the electric bits hidden below. That B switch activates the Spectre's more aggressive regen braking mode, enabling one-pedal driving, in which you can simply lift your foot off the accelerator to slow down to a full stop. Tuning of this common EV function mimics that of the accelerator. There's a predictable and gradual slowing of the car during which the motors act as generators and refill the battery. Everything else the driver and passengers touch and interact with is pure Rolls-Royce, which is to say, it's incredible. You're ensconced among the finest materials, sit in supremely comfortable seats, and enjoy an old-world mechanical aspect to most controls. You can manipulate pretty much any common, everyday function using a physical button, switch, or knob, a satisfying rarity among today's cars generally and EVs specifically. Actual chrome roller switches change the temperature of the air blowing at your legs and torso. These can be set separately, with airflow knobs above those labeled in delightfully straightforward terms: off, soft, med, and high, just like in other Rolls-Royces. There may be a huge 102 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery in the floor with automatic thermal controls, but you still manually modulate the flow of air through the cabin's gorgeous metal vents using chrome organ pulls and direct their aim with your own hands. And there are actual preset buttons for the audio system right there on the dashboard. Having such direct command over these features is itself a luxury, as it spares owners a trip into the fussier on-screen interface that borrows BMW's latest iDrive OS, including its rows upon rows of tiny app icons. Happily, jabbing the seat massager button calls up a more detailed series of adjustments on-screen, ditto the shortcuts to navigation, media, and phone menus surrounding the center console's control knob. So approachable and familiar, at least to anyone who's been inside other Rolls-Royces, is the Spectre's cabin. If you never told your passengers the car was electric, they might not ask or even notice. We find this normalcy at once refreshing. The Spectre isn't showy about its newfangled powertrain, and entirely on-brand for Rolls. During our drive in Las Vegas and out to Valley of Fire State Park, smartphones peeked out of adjacent car windows and from sidewalks and trained on our Spectre's thick flanks. It's possible a few of those wielding the phones knew what the Spectre was, but more likely they were just excited to spot a new Rolls-Royce in person. Such is the brand's appeal that its first-ever EV would be noticed not for its electrification, but plainly for its moneyed and stately execution. After all, it's not like you can typically hear a regular Rolls-Royce's engine, either. It might be tough to find anything untoward about the Spectre and relay it to you here, but there is a catch, and it's not that you're too poor to buy one of these cars. That's self-evident. No, it's time for the range anxiety discussion. It's not purely academic, either. Rolls-Royce customers actually drive their cars, even though, per the company, their garages hold on average 7 different vehicles. This makes sense. The Ferrari's too gauche, too low for Whole Foods runs, and who wants to pile on the miles in a stiff, snorting Lamborghini? An elegant sachet around town is just what a Rolls is good for. But Rolls-Royce customers don't just drive their cars often, but they drive them far distances, too. The Spectre can, according to the EPA's estimates, travel between 264 and 291 miles per charge, depending on which wheels are optioned. Whereas a Los Angeles-based Phantom owner might jaunt up California's coast for a weekend in wine country, visiting 1 or 2 gas stations along the way, which they're not forced to endure for long, wandering Spectre drivers will spend a lot more time parked amongst the unwashed masses at public charging stations. We shudder at the indignity of backing the Spectre up to an Electrify America charger at the far end of a Walmart parking lot, only to reposition it when that charger doesn't work or, worse, a careless Chevy Bolt customer is hogging the faster, higher kW unit even though their hatchback can only accept 50 kilowatts. And forget blending in, you can and will be asked questions about your gleaming 18-foot-long land yacht, and will be forced to either close one of the Spectre's 5-foot-long rear hinge doors on your curious charger mates or play along for the 34 minutes Rolls-Royce says it takes to recharge from 10 to 80% at the car's 195 kilowatts DC fast charge rate. At least those doors close at the push of a button or, for the driver, a press of the brake pedal. They also include umbrellas that deploy at the push of a button, useful for the many chargers that lack roofs. Is it fair to bring this up when the Spectre is otherwise a triumph of luxury, technology, and style? When publicly charging it feels akin to landing your Gulfstream at a regular airport in order to plug your iPhone into USB ports in the waiting area at a Spirit Airlines gate, we think so. It's germane to any expensive EV, but more so here given the mitigating potential in the Spectre's money is no object, fulfill every wish fabulosity. Lucid's Air Sedan, a money is an object car, costs less than half as much and goes nearly twice as far. So, while the Spectre is unquestionably and impressively a better Rolls-Royce because it's electric, it isn't necessarily a better EV because it's a Rolls-Royce.